3-5 profile is very curious. They want to, again, get their hands in the clay, mess around, see what happens. But their curiosity isn't just for their own sake, as it is like compared with like that line 3 or line 1, that 1-3 profile. It's very much about their own process. This here, coupled with this upper trigram profile line, is a universalizing energy, meaning it's meant to be shared. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello and hi there. How you doing, Haley?
I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast.
We are here.
You are there.
Oh, we're weird.
Yeah. So on today's episode, we're going to continue our exploration through the human design profiles. In the last episode, we covered the 1-3, the 1-4, the 2-4, and the 2-5. So these were all what they would call more introspective profiles, with that lower trigram being the beginning of their profile. And we're going to be moving on today with some more of these right angle profiles, or more introspective profiles. And I guess we're just going to jump into it because, if you need more foundation, go listen to the last episode. If you listen to the last episode, you know where we're starting. So let's just get into it.
Yeah.
Give you what you came for. So we are going to start today talking about the 3-5, which is the martyr heretic, and in quantum human design known as the explorer visionary leader.
I think I also spelled visionary wrong.
Probably.
Investigar
and visionary.
Oh.
Yes. So,
actually, that is how I spelled it, visionary.
And I know that because I typed it that way many times before. I forget that extra I. It's not an extra I, it's an essential I. Anyways, so as a visionary leader type, these are people, that line 5 again, that carries these creative, innovative, practical solutions in their profile. 3-5 is kind of known as a hands-on fix-it type, because they do have that trial and error energy about them. And through that process helps, them understand what their solutions are that they're bringing forth. This is a profile that needs to be stimulated. They need new challenges. They need new things to try and fix, find solutions for. They don't really care for repetitive work, in the sense that once they've figured out the solution or made it work better, they've improved it, they don't really want to keep doing it. They want to be challenged and move on to something else. So some famous 3-5s are Mother Teresa. It's interesting because as I was looking at this list of people, it's like people could feel, you can kind of see this line 5 kind of heretic energy of people not always liking what they're doing. They are bringing new solutions, but people don't always like it, and they do kind of project negatively onto them. So not necessarily Mother Teresa. I don't
really know why she is famous.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Because she championed the poor in Calcutta. She literally took care of the people that nobody would take care of. The people that were seen as diseased, poor, worthless, useless. People didn't have any use for them, but she's like, they are just as valuable as any one of us. And she was known for her love and her care and her joy. And she came up with creative ways to sustain the efforts that she made in caring for people. It was self-sustaining. She was able to run her mission basically for her whole life. So here's some other ones. Nancy Pelosi.
Okay.
Yeah. Angelina Jolie. Again, she does a lot of work in the world, but a lot of people have very strong opinions about her. George Clooney, also someone who, we like George Clooney, but a lot of people don't want to hear what he has to say either. You know, he challenges the status quo of how things are in the world. Shirley MacLaine. I love Shirley MacLaine. And Julia Roberts is another one. And most famous of all, your brother, Ian.
Oh.
Anyway, so these are innovative and influential people that can use their charm and that seductive energy that draws people to them for the greater good. They're very resilient and adaptable people. And again, they can create novel solutions, creative, practical, novel, innovative solutions through their own experimentation and what they've learned through trial and error. They figure out what works, and then their findings can leave a big impact on the world. So being this like visionary leader type, they want to figure out how to upgrade life, upgrade everything for everyone. So, I mean, there's this energy of, I can make it better. I'm going to figure it out. How are we going to figure this out? Right. So his 3-5 profile is very curious. They want to, again, get their hands in the clay, mess around, see what happens. But their curiosity isn't just for their own sake, as it is like compared with like that line 3 or line 1, that 1-3 profile. You know, it's very much about their own process. This here, coupled with this upper trigram profile line, is a universalizing energy, meaning it's meant to be shared. It's meant to impact community, or not community, but humanity, really, like for everyone.
With that 5, what did you call it? The
Strangers of Consequence.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Yes, they definitely are here to impact people on a wide scale. Not necessarily those right close to them, but the whole world. So a lot of their experimenting does come from this feeling that a lot of the line 5 part of them has, that they have a mission, they have a purpose, that they're here to help save the world in a way with what they know. Now, I don't mean like they're all like these grandiose thinkers, like I am the savior of the world, but there is this pull that they can figure things out that maybe other people haven't tried yet or seen yet, and that there is a way to get this done. Like I said, someone like Angelina Jolie, let's say, you know, she's doing a lot of work now for domestic abuse survivors and for women, well, basically women and children. She's using her influence to help bring light to that and get people to pay attention and find more creative solutions than what's currently available for women in these situations. And I think in one particular way where she's having influence is because she herself has adopted children that are of color. She's learned that a lot of women of color, people of color in domestic abuse situations are often, or assaults, or even just not even domestic assaults, but are not believed often because there's no physical evidence of violence, because their skin bruises differently. It looks different. It's often not seen. And she's helped bring to light and helped develop in a way. I don't know if she's part of the development, but she's certainly helped bringing money towards the development of technology that can, it's like a light, a sensor on the skin that can show on the darker colored skin where the bruising is.
And I haven't, not specifically about Angelina Jolie, but about like the care for people of color, medical care. Cause like I have seen about how doctors and nurses, when they're trained, most of the pictures and the medical books that they're learning from are people with white skin, because you can see like how
Mhm.
things react. And like, so then people of color have like this disparage in medical care because the symptoms and the visual cues can be presented so differently.
Exactly. Yeah. And so she is helping bring forth solutions through her own experience, through her own lived experience with her own children and what she has seen. So that's just kind of one example. There's lots of things. She also, along like with Mother Teresa, tries to direct attention to people who are less seen, less visible, marginalized. Anyways, so line 3-5 profile likes to figure out what works, and then, like I said, their findings can have a big impact on the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at things in new and creative ways and find new solutions to problems. Now, a challenge for the 3-5. There's quite a few. I shouldn't say it like that. It is a challenging profile. I mean, let's just be honest. Line 5s in general do have a little bit more of a challenge if you have a line 5, because there is so much projection onto them as people, like I said, not always seeing them for who they are, but just seeing them as their potential hope or savior. And so it's and they want to help people, they really do. They deeply do want to help, but they can become hesitant with who they help because of getting burned really many times by people not appreciating what solutions they offer. So one challenge they have is they really don't know if the solutions they have to offer really has legs until they try it for themselves. They have to get in it. They have to try it. And then people, like I said, can be really hard on them because if they haven't like done that experimentation and tried it out and see what works and what doesn't work, and they just kind of offer solutions just on what, theory almost, but haven't actually experienced it. Like somebody who is somebody who's somebody who is possibly in the field of like therapy or something like that, of some kind of healing profession, if they themselves haven't gone through the process, if they are a 3-5, if they're trying to offer solutions to people saying, oh, you should try this framework, but they haven't necessarily tried it themselves and gotten the results to know how it works for people before they offer it to people, it could come back negatively on them in a very profound way. It could be like career ruining in a sense if they were to try to put all that out there and then be, people say this person has no idea what they're talking about. They don't, their solutions don't work. They haven't tried it because they can't offer their perspective on that framework or that 4-step process or whatever it is. They have to really do the work first. These are people that have to do the work first of what it is they have to offer. So that means they have to give themselves time and really that space, time, the grace to realize that they are going to have to go through the process themselves. They are going to have to take those steps themselves. They're going to have to figure it out before they ever offer it, even though they're going to be like really pulled to want to share it, but they can't necessarily do it before they fully go through the process themselves, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I notice with like your brother, I haven't seen a lot of this in him yet, although he does have lots of opinions. That's not his profile. That's a lot of other things. But in learning about line 5, and this is important with, parenting and relationships and everything else, why it's important to know some of these things about people, because you can try to push things onto these people like, oh, you should, because we might see something in them that we think they're good at, right? Or, that type of thing, or that they can offer solutions to people based on what we're projecting onto them. And so I'm always interested to see how that works out in our personal relationship, to see if I'm doing that. You know what I mean? I think your dad certainly projects onto him, but I mean, it sounds like I'm throwing him under the bus. I don't mean to, but he's just not as aware because, they just don't really want to listen to me and what I have to say about all this.
Yeah.
Again, which is also why your brother thinks all this is hooey, because he doesn't pay attention to it and he hasn't tried it and he's not experimented with it. But if he ever does, if he will listen to me and try experimenting with some of this stuff, he might find has some value. But it may not be for him. I may just be projecting that onto him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is the 3-5. So now we're going to go on to the 3-6.
3. Oh,
This is the martyr / role model in traditional human design. And then quantum is the explorer / adept, which I realize now I haven't been saying / so I don't know if that's confusing to people, but whatever. I'll figure it out.
Adept?
Adept. Yes. Somebody who's just naturally good at something, right? The adept. They have wisdom, expertise, knowledge.
I got that double natural ability.
You just go straight ahead to yourself. Okay, so this is our first introduction here as we go through the profiles of the line 6. And so the line 6 has most notably the triphasic, they call it, life cycle, that in the first 30 years, they live more like a line 3, lots of experimenting. So as you can see with this 3-6, there's going to be this double experimenting, a lot of experimenting early up until about age 30. Like I said, trial and error approach to most things. They struggle with indecision a lot. So some trust issues there. A lot of need for, well, like I say, that trust and kind of perfection in relationships. There's so like the line 3 has a reputation in relationships. They say bonds made to be broken. Bonds made and broken, I should say, not made to be broken. Bonds made and broken, meaning they will bond with people, but then if things aren't working, they're ready to, cut and run. If something isn't, they'll just try something new because they have this trial and error energy. But the line 6 has a long view on life. The line 6 is deep down always kind of longing for more of a soulmate. So they tend to, they can overlook certain things or hope for the best. It's a more positive outlook on life because they see more of a long view. So there's going to be this energy that kind of is at odds within them at times. So some famous 3-6s are Mariah Carey, Dustin Hoffman, Tina Fey, and Carrie Underwood. Which, I don't know much about a lot of these people very much. I will say that Mariah Carey, of course, is known for her singing, her vocal range. She does lots of different styles, lots of different types. But she's got kind of through her experimenting and her craft, she's honed her craft in a way. But they also say that she also, so she has that over time, that long, as she has matured, she has become somewhat of a role model in her field, her expression, but also they say that she's also had quite a few relationships. That she's been married a few times, I think. I don't know.
Twice. She's been married twice. She's married to one man, Tommy Mottola, from 93 to 98, and then to Nick Cannon from 2008 to 2016.
So all right. So the 3-6, these are people who are basically their lives, they're on a quest for truth through experimentation, but then they also have their own innate knowing that causes them to kind of be detached and observant. So they really are looking through that line 6 of them. Line 6 aspect of them is looking through truth, through living in alignment with their own authentic self, because as a role model moves through life, that's ultimately what they end up modeling, is what it means to be yourself, right? To be this expression of yourself. So in that first 30 years or so of a 3-6, there's that double line 3 energy. So there is going to be a lot of experimenting, lots of encountering or entering into relationships, breaking relationships, From 30 to 50, they say that there's a little bit of a break there on that experimenting, because the line 6 in that time frame, that second part of the triphasic second phase, is when they go up on the roof and they kind of withdraw. So it gives that line 6 energy a little bit more time to sort of take the lead, to just observe and to just maybe settle down in relationships, maybe spend a little more time trying to cultivate those relationships, like not just cut them off so severely if they're not working. And in general, in line with line 6 is that time of their life, is if there has been a lot of experimenting or moving around, that they tend to just kind of step back and rest and see how everybody else does it, but it's not like a time where they do nothing. They are a time when they build families. Maybe a line 6, if they are looking for that soulmate, might be when they meet someone, because they're then able to give it more time. Somebody they may have encountered in the first phase of their life, they may not have given the time. They may have seen the flaws straight up and just be like, I'm done with it. But now in this second stage of life, they're ready to give it a little bit more time to see if maybe there's something that can be worked on. Yeah, like you said. So after 50, it's when the line 6 is supposed to come down off the roof. Supposed to, meaning they're supposed to re-engage with life, in the sense that they take everything they've learned through their own life experimentation, but also through just observing this, what it means to be yourself and to live in alignment with yourself and to be authentic. So the 3-6 has the gift of embodying wisdom through how they live their life. They are an example. They're a role model. And they call the rest of us to be authentically ourselves. That's that role modeling part of it, is that you don't have to actually actively try to be a role model to someone, like big brother, big sister kind of thing. It's just you're here as a line 6 to try lots of things, see how you want to do it, see how others do it, heal from all your experiences, integrate, and then as you emerge in the later stage of your life, just be yourself. And that is the role model part of you. But with this combination 3-6, there's just going to be a lot more experimenting.
A lot.
And always that pull of wanting to like break bonds and just be done with it and move on, and not just romantic relationships, any kind of situations. You want to just kind of like, it's not working. Let's just try something else. Let's move on. But the 6 is like, no, let's just see what happens. Let's stick with this. We know that this is a process. We know that you have to be, patient, take your time, long view on life type of thing. So anyways, so the role model, or excuse me, in this instance with this pairing, this really, the 3-6 can show us that life can throw you lots of curveballs. There can be a lot of bumps along the road, right? But these are things that are here to teach you. And if you just stay the course, keep moving forward, you'll get the truth of like who you really are and what it means to be authentically yourself, as an example for others. Does that make sense? So like I said, I think we've pretty much covered this, but the challenges here for a line, or for this profile in particular, the 3-6, is that tendency to have high expectations in relationships and partners, because line 6 is looking for a soulmate. So they really want to feel that they have people that they trust and can feel safe with. They're looking for stability, which they themselves have that kind of, with that long view, that high ideal of what's possible for all of us. They can tend to, expect that from everybody. The line 3 part of them, like I said, can be a little messy, a little daring, but the line 6 wants to be a little more stable and more steady. So there's a little bit. They say there's a push-pull between like pessimism and positivity within the 3-6. It's like cut and run. No, they can be better. They can do this. As we said before, 6 is more aware of others. 3 is more self-absorbed. So Again, this is still a right angle cross personality. They have personal destiny, even though they have that line 6 aspect. Essentially, they are here to learn from their own experience and of life. So that's the 3-6.
Okay.
So, okay. Now moving on to the 4-6.
Okay. Oh.
This is the opportunist / role model, or more kindly known as the stabilizer / adept. So this is our first and only profile with, I shouldn't say first, only. This is the only profile with both lines in the upper trigram. And what's interesting here is you would think that because of that, it would be a left angle profile, meaning it would have a left angle cross. But for some reason that nobody's really been able to explain to anybody why it is that even though both profile lines are in the upper trigram, they have a personal destiny. It's a self-focused destiny. They learn through their own experience in life. That's what the right angle cross means. I have not yet found anyone that can explain that to me, so I don't really understand it. I just know that's what it is. And we're just going to go with that.
I love the ones where we just had to accept it.
Some things you just have to accept. Even with my line 1 energy, it's like, okay, I just say.
I don't like it either.
So, as such, there is that. So we know that the line 4 is all about their network and their community and their social and a little bit more extroverted, want to be in connection and in relationship with people. And the line 6 tends to want to be a little bit more withdrawn and observant and not so much in the clay there type, not in the clay. That's the line 6 wants to be withdrawn, more observant. They're not really always wanting to be in the fray, so to speak, with the relationships. But again, since there's a line 6 present here, another triphasic type thing in their life, 4-6 can really want to be around people, but they can get really worn out if they're around people for too long. They really have to learn how to balance their social nature with their need to kind of also withdraw. Their friendships are incredibly important to them, and they are here to impact others. They're role models, and they impact others through their line 4 networks. So how they impact their networks is by just being themselves. They are known to be rather friendly, generous people, and their way of approaching life is inspiring to others. So some famous ones, interesting. Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Everybody would certainly say she was a friendly, generous person.
She lives herself.
Yeah. The Dalai Lama, if you think about him, he has a lot of impact, but he, and he is, everybody sees him. He's very friendly. He's very, smiles a lot, jokes a lot, that kind of thing. But
both Dollies.
He's a Tibetan Buddhist monk who also spends much time withdrawn, observing life. Joe Biden.
Okay.
I mean, and let's look at Joe Biden. He finally became president in the very later years of his life. But they always said about him as well. People always, before everybody started hating on him when he became president, before that, everybody just loved Uncle Joe. How friendly, generous.
As vice president, everyone loved him.
They appreciated back then. Remember, you would think he had a line 5, but no, it's just American politics. Back then, if you can remember, before he ran for president and won, everybody just thought he was the greatest because he was just kind of himself, right? He was just the guy
living
behind
life.
Obama, wearing his aviator sunglasses,
joking up,
eating ice cream, joking up. The weird things he would say. Buster.
Questionable hair sniffing,
but in as any seated president does, they get a lot of criticism. But he is someone that definitely has had that long triphasic type of life path. When you can see how he has over the years really developed this. Well, role model is the obvious thing, but what I mean is, even in the adept, is the the thing that he gets hated on for is being this career politician, but he's also a career politician that has, if people truly looked at his record, nobody's perfect for sure. He's had his blunders and his fails like anybody else. But the general trajectory, I believe, has been his desire to help people. I believe that. Hate me if you want to. I don't care. You'll learn about my profile next and you'll see how much I don't care. I ain't changing. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to get down the road there too much. Another Brad Pitt. God, who doesn't love Brad Pitt? Okay. A lot of people, I'm sure, but I love him. But I mean, you could see him as a friendly individual who also is kind of withdrawn. People don't, know everything about him.
Yeah, I mean,
Eleanor Roosevelt was also a 4-6. So anyways, so like I said, there is this need to be social, but if they are social for too long, it can be too much, it can be too tiring. They want to connect, but they also want to just witness life. So there is this, it's almost like, I'm trying to think if I do know somebody in particular that does have this like very friendly, that line 4 wants to include everybody type of thing. It's like it wants to get to know you, get to connect with you, really help impact you on a personal level. But then that line 6 is like, it's not so connected to you personally. It's just kind of like I said, it's more aloof. Spends a lot of time on the roof and then it comes down and then it's just there to be an example. Not just there. It's not like they don't talk to people.
They're just there, very stoic.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that because there's that triphasic life or life path for the line 6, the line 4 part of their personality or their profile gets experienced a little differently throughout those 3 phases. So like in the first 30 years, the line 3 aspect of the lines of the 6 profile wants to experiment. It wants to kind of shake things up, wants to try lots of different things. But the line 4 is always looking for stability, especially in relationships.
Right.
Always wants foundations. So there's going to be a little bit of tension there. And then on the roof again, during that period, the line 4 aspect will definitely come forward more because it now has that time to breathe and to start building those foundations as the line 6 takes a break. You can see
line 6 is like, you're up, buddy.
Yeah, you could see a lot of family building and connection making and everything during that phase of a 4-6 life. And then after the age of 50, the line 4 can then re-enter life and as gained all this wisdom of experimenting with building foundations and then spending time to build the foundations and then taking all that information to then bring to their network of how they have gone through and experienced life and relationships and bring everybody in and, affect them.
Okay.
So 4-6s establish their leadership energy, that adept, that role model energy through relational connection with people and in a more intimate way than a strictly line 6 would because of that 4. They have a very friendly, solid feeling about them. One thing that's always noted about line 4s is that since they are like a foundational energy, they're that foundation of the upper trigram, they're really resistant to change. They don't like change. They don't like fast change. But since the line 6 side of them has that long view, they are a little bit easier to change as one of these line 4 personalities because you've got the 1-4, 2-4, 4-6, 4-1. So this is the one that is a little bit more open to change because it has this long view perspective. So one challenge that a 4-6 can have is that since they can have a long view, they can often see potential problems or whatever before other people see them. And so they are, they can see trouble coming down the road in a way and can see where people might have to alter their behaviors or change how things are way before their networks see them. And there is a tendency to want to rush that process, but they really can't. So say you're somebody with a 4-6 profile who is really, let's say, invested in climate change initiatives, that you're somebody that sees where the problems are, but it's, 20 years ago. And
from now.
Yeah. So like somebody who can see that if we keep continuing down this road as a whole, we're going to have a lot of issues. What might seem like a small thing now is going to be a bigger issue. Say like the plastic bag usage. A 4-6 might have seen way before the rest of the world or even their own community could see that where's all this going? We're going to have a problem here. We need to, and so they may be the one that in their community and their network started encouraging people to not use single-use plastics, that you should, let's think about it. There's probably a lot of these 4-6s out there that were leading this charge of like being the weird one at the grocery store, carrying a bag with them all the time. People are like, what are they doing? It's so more convenient, so much more convenient to just have these plastics. Well, yeah, it's more convenient, but it's a long-term problem. Eventually, people will catch up with them once they're ready to hear it. So they kind of just have to have that modeling behavior that eventually their networks will catch up for them. So they can, if they try to push it too fast, people just, they won't understand them, and they often are misunderstood. So they just got to be patient and realize that they may be ahead of the game for a lot of people in their network, but they just have to let them catch up with them. Be themselves anyway. Lead the way. They'll catch up. Okay, so the last one. Oh no, is this the last one for today? No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, so last one for today is going to be the 4-1. The opportunist/investigator, or the stabilizer/resource. So this is the most rare profile of all the profiles. Only 2% of the population are 4-1s. They're the only profile that has a juxtaposition cross, they call it. Meaning,
so this is the only juxtaposition one.
Yes, that's the only profile, meaning that their journey through life, their experience through life is not strictly personal nor transpersonal. They learn both through their personal interactions or their personal exploration of life, their own experience of life, and through others. They say that they're kind of the bridge between the two, between the right angle, the left angle, meaning they are in it, but they're also removed from it in a way. The 4-1 is the profile that is said to have more of a fixed fate. They have this juxtaposition cross, and this fixed fate aspect of it is that they are neither strictly personal nor transpersonal. They're kind of a blend of the two. They can choose to really be connected or introspective in the sense that they can learn through their own personal experience and also through others. Like they say, and I don't understand this fully either, being a 4-1, you think I would, but it feels kind of nice to hear them say it. They say that a 4-1 profile is like a bonus life.
Oh.
Because the left angle crosses, which are the higher number, the upper trigram, except for the 4-6, they have a more karmic purpose. Like it's a karmic destiny in the sense that their purpose is fulfilled through others, and they're also kind of cleaning up karma. They're learning through their interactions with others, right? So since it's not really that, or it's not the other, they say that this is just what has been bandied about. You're not really creating karma or having to clean up karma. You're just kind of here along the ride. Just
okay,
whatever. Like I said, we've had discussion off mic about this, of trying to understand it, and I've been before. When you think I'd have a really good understanding of this, they can tell me certain aspects of the 4-1, which we'll talk about here in a second, which I can really understand. But why it is just for a 4-1, I don't know. Like I said, it's just things you have to kind of accept. Remember,
Mm.
this is not a logical I mean, it's a mechanical system. There is
Uh-huh.
math and calculation involved, but it was also channeled information. It came from a source way higher and more understanding than us. It's just saying, look, you guys have kind of been on the right track with all these different systems. Here's how you put it all together. It's all the ancient wisdoms that have been delivered over the years. This is how it all intersects and comes together to give you more of a cohesive map of humanity and how you're wired. But do we have a full understanding of it? I don't think we do.
My
It's
defined
still
head doesn't
evolving.
like it.
Yeah, it's still evolving. We're still gaining understanding as we all live it. We're experimenting in a way. We are all of it, remember? So we
Mhm.
are experimenting. We're learning through knowledge. We're learning through experimentation. We're learning through each other, and we're learning through our own personal process. So how's your head like that part? So anyways,
It's not happy, but I'll accept it.
the 4-1 is here to study and gain knowledge really on something that really engrosses them, and then share and influence and impact others on a personal level in their network. Now, some other 4-1s out there besides myself, past and present, Claude Monet, Tom Brady,
Okay.
Larry Bird. Do you know who that is? He's another famous athlete.
I think so.
Basketball. Barbara
Not how I was
Walters.
envisioning. Who was I envisioning?
I don't know. Barbara Walters,
She's a reporter.
journalist. Yes.
Yeah, she was a journalist.
Shel Silverstein. I know you know that name.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I said, we've kind of talked about it's the only one with the juxtaposition cross, not personal or just transpersonal. So let's talk about this blah blah blah. So let's talk about this fixed fate aspect. Is they say the life path or the journey of a 4-1 through life is like a train on the track. Okay. It has a final destination. It's always going to reach its destination. Now, as it goes along, it can make stops along the way. People can get on the train and they can get off the train, but they don't get to tell the train where it's going. Like, they have to agree to go wherever the train's going. If they don't want to, they can leave.
You can get off the train.
But eventually the train will get there. And that's what they mean by a fixed fate. And so what is this fixed fate? Which sounds so like, to me, fatalistic, but it just means that the incarnation cross is very important aspect, especially the conscious sun placement of someone with a 4-1 profile. Because what we know about the incarnation cross is like everything is kind of in your chart is funneling down into, it's like an inverted funnel. It's all funneling into that sun energy expression of everything in the chart, right? Is how you're bringing it out into the world. And so for a 4-1 in particular, if they want to know and have more guidance on what it is they're here to influence their network, what they're here to learn about, like what kind of themes they're working on, is really to look at their sun, their incarnation cross, but conscious sun in particular will give them a lot of insight into how they are meant to impact those around them.
Okay.
So with a 4-1, with that analogy of a train, they also say like an oak tree. They're solid like an oak tree. They are who they are. And they can't really change who they are, and you really shouldn't try to change them because you won't. They may seem to appease you for a short amount of time. Social pressure might bend a little bit like an oak tree in a storm. It can sway back and forth. It can look like it's moving, but essentially down at the base, at its core, it's not going anywhere. So they say a line 4 may appear to change or go your way, but once that pressure is off of them from other networks or those around them, they essentially stay true to who they are. They can't change.
Okay.
They won't abandon who they are to make other people happy. It may take them a long time to figure that out. Not realize that's what they're doing.
From personal experience?
Speaking from experience, I mean, I would say I was a very flexible person, but if I'm very honest, I think I've told you this before when we talk about the G Center. if I were my defined G center as well, I know I couldn't always tell you who I am, but I can tell you who I'm not for sure. And I think this 4-1 plays into it too. Like, you can't put me in a box that isn't of my own choosing. I will never, I was like, I will never be this kind of parent or whatever. Like, I swore I would never I'll never be a minivan, like labels, all that stuff. You can't put your labels on me because I just won't take
I
them.
like to think of you when you're in high school in your Catholic school, but you're like rocking this faux mohawk.
And there was a deep insecurity there at the time too. You know, it was like, I understand that's what, you know, those those foundational lines, the 4s and the 1s, you know, there is that underlying insecurity because they're trying to create, you know, the foundations. And it was very much I'm going to get to choose what it is you're going to, you know, for that, in that instance, I was going to choose what you're going to reject me for. I was going to let you reject me for who I am. I'm going to let you see this, and then, you know, you can reject me for that if you want to. But no, I wouldn't. And you know what? Over time, in my high school years, let's say, yes, I started out as someone who attracted attention. It wasn't good attention. They did not fit in, but I really didn't change who I was at the core. Within that network, I made friends and made concessions here and there, but never really changed who I was. And over the course of those 4 years, definitely people swayed more to my side than I ever did. I did not sway to their side at all. They came my way. They saw things my way, right? Yeah. There's a lot of things like that. Yeah, I guess I could say I've had that influence in people around me in my life, is just kind of staying in my lane and doing my thing. And eventually over time, they've come my way and got on board. Now maybe human design is that thing too. It's all been leading this. It's been on that train track all this time. So yeah. So 4-1s do need the connection with others, and they are social. It helps them fulfill their purpose because they are here to influence, but they also really need that definite introspective alone time. Like, I crave my alone time, but I also love my family, my friends, sharing what I know with everybody. It's what got us here, right?
You sometimes like to say you're an extroverted introvert.
In a way, I mean, what do they call them? Ambiverts. You know, it's like I can definitely socialize. I prefer to have time alone and do my own thing and not be bothered by other people because I have my own interests of things I want to do. Really enjoy time with the people that I choose to be around. I think everybody's that way, though. They want to be around them. So, as you know, the name suggests, in quantum human design, this resource stabilizer. So obviously they are a resource to their communities, but they have that stabilizing energy. Line 4s have stabilizing energy in any community network that they're in. 4-1s in particular, they're like, because they are so fixed in who they are. They can be pushed too far and it can break. Like a oak tree is no match against a severe windstorm or a tornado. It can only bend so far before it breaks, and that could definitely happen to a 4-1. So if you are with a 4-1, don't try to push them too much. It can it's really not good for them for you to try to change who they are to your way. You just have to accept that this person is going to be who they are, and you so that stabilizing force, people tend to see them as, you know, very reliable. They do help stabilize a group. They are the foundations in their families,
they're the glue.
So some of the challenges for the 4-1 is they can often feel misunderstood because since they can maybe try to blend in and bend a little bit, they really can't. And it's eventually they have to be true to themselves and not what others want from them, so they can be seen as inflexible or rigid or really unwilling to compromise in their ways, but they're not trying to be. They really are trying, but they can't. So anyway, so they can seem a little stubborn, maybe. We can't help it. All right. So basically with the 4-1, what you see was essentially, so what you see is what you get, but at the same time, you don't really know what you're seeing and what you're getting. I mean, what you see is what you get, but at the same time, you really don't always know exactly what's going on.
You can't quite see it.
Yeah. They're very private. I can say that for sure. So anyways, I hope once again, as I go back and edit this, I'm not like, wow, you spend most of the time talking about yourself again, but
no, it's just because that's what you're the most familiar and versed in. Yeah.
That and other people around me. But anyway, so that's where we're going to wrap up today's episode the next time we come around, we're going to bring it back with the last 4 profiles that we have to cover there, which are all going to be left angle crosses, right? Yeah. They're going to be the transpersonal destiny crosses. So we're going to get into that a little bit more, what that means. But for now, we're just going to leave it here. We've given you a lot to think about and ponder and look at people in your life and possibly yourself. So thank you for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until then, I'll talk to you later. See you, Haley. Bye.
Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.